everyone, welcome back to another episode of Bobble Pod. On this episode, we're going to be talking about the evolution of SEO. Yes, we're going to get a deep dive into a specific topic around digital marketing. And on this one, we have a very special guest with me. We have David from Compass Fuels. Welcome, David.
Hi, Manny. Thanks for bringing me on the show.
Before I begin, as always, don't forget to like, follow, subscribe, and if you see me on TikTok and Instagram, hello everybody, and don't forget to follow me at Mr Bobble Official. So, David, we tried to get this in a while back. I ended up getting, I got ill? I mean, I'm always ill. There's always something going on. But we met at a marketing showcase event.
Yeah.
Yes.
Manchester.
Yes, and since then we've had some conversations back and forth and just really kind of hit it off in terms of our, I'd say, combined love for SEO and digital marketing. And I've been really grateful for actually the stuff you share with me and like Nitro Pack and some insights you gave to us, which is quite good. So from that, from just meeting at marketing showcase, I feel like we've built a really good marketing kind of like friendship on the side of that,
sharing's
which
caring.
is good. Yeah, and that's what I love about this industry. You will meet some amazing people that are just all about giving and not just like what can I get out of you, and that's something I really valued. And I was like, mate, you've got to come and share this knowledge on a podcast. And obviously your specialism is SEO, but I'm not going to explain it to the listeners. Please, for a couple of minutes, explain yourself, who you are, what you do, and your experience.
Yeah, so I'm David Chyriwsky, if anyone's wondering how to pronounce that. Been in marketing for about 15 years now, probably going on 16. The vast majority of my career has been in the vape industry. And in the vape industry, there's absolutely no paid advertising allowed. You go to Instagram, Facebook, Google, they'll block you. And funny story, I've been banned by Facebook Meta, so I can't run my own ads on Facebook Meta anymore. I found that out the hard way. They will not overturn it, no matter how much I've pleaded with them. But yeah, so that's really shaped my career of being more focused on organic SEO than anything else. So I had to be. Every other firm out there had to be savvy. I had to even be more savvy than them. So it drove me down a path of finding out the best techniques and really gaming the system, taking advantage of everything that Google and Bing is doing as much as possible.
Fantastic. And now you're working for a company called Compass Fuels.
Yeah.
So explain to us what you're doing there.
So Compass Fuels, I'm the marketing manager, a sole person in the marketing department, so I don't have another person to help me with any marketing activities, so it's all a solo effort. Been trying to work out ways how to bring an agency in such as Bobble. We'll
I think at some point we'll be there, but I'm not like, you've known me, I'm like, mate, whenever you need or any support you need, just give us a shout with that.
We will get there.
Yeah.
But a lot of the things I found is, with that is, because I've been in the game for so long, I get quotes, bring it to my manager or my superior, and then it's like, this is going to cost us $5 or $6 grand. Like, can't you do that? I'm like, yeah. Well, let's go do it then. That's the type of conversation we get.
But it's time. Time.
But it is all about time and not stretching yourself too thin. So we will get there. So at Compass, mainly focusing on obviously the organic side. I do have paid ads going. Done a lot on that as well, and I've kind of dropped social media altogether. I do one post a week maybe now, and if that. But just because that industry it's not cool. It's oil. Nobody wants to follow oil. It's something that's frowned upon. People who buy it as a necessity rather than it being something fun. So literally focusing just on what is going to yield the best results, and that's the best way you can operate as a sole marketer.
But we've been having a conversation about that. I think a company like you should really take like lessons from like Red Bull. Red Bull don't push their product out. They're all about high energy, which is a byproduct of what it is. So you're really focusing, and you came up with some concepts about fueling stuff, fueling passions and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I like that. I think you should stick to that. I think you're onto something there, and you could really diversify yourselves as a brand in the industry, which is quite stagnant and more. Well, it's very how to push out, fuel essentially. So we're going to talk about the evolution of SEO. James has some questions for us.
Yep.
So
first question I want to ask though is, how do Facebook tell you that they banned you? Do they just send you an email?
You find out when all your ads stop running.
You get a notification.
That must be an awful moment.
Yeah.
Touch wood, I've never had that issue, but I was aware because we had a vape company in the US come to us. They want to run ads in the UK, and I was like, you can't. It's not allowed. You're like alcohol. It's like, do you see any cigarette ads on social media? No. Do you see any alcohol ads on social media? No, you don't. And you only get away with it a little bit as part of like a package. I was like, you can't do anything. And I went, at all. I went, stick to, digital out of home, or, stick to, all you can do online is SEO and maybe some PR, and that's if some publications will touch it. But that's it, really, more than that.
It's all about influencer marketing with the vape side. That's still fair game. But I was there from the very beginning, early startup vape firms, and it was a grey area, and ads were working until they weren't. It was just sudden.
Interesting. Right, let's talk SEO then. Let's start by rewinding, shall we? Let's go back in time. Let's transport ourselves back to 2010, 2015. Let's go back 10, 15 years. SEO then compared to now, what did it look like?
I've forgotten more now about SEO than there is. It's SEO back then was just so basic.
It was more fun.
It was actually, yeah. I would agree. It's more fun now. It's just very. It's so fast paced now with all the algorithm updates and changing and what's going on. There's so much more, because back then Google was more of a simplistic platform. The algorithm was a bit more simplistic back then, and even that was like 15 years ago. And at 15 years ago, which was 2010 for me, I wasn't even physically doing SEO. I was learning about it from textbooks and playing around it in terms of theory while I was doing my master's or my degree, whatever I was doing at the time. I learned SEO a few years after that when I got into my first role at Carrot. And they brought in an SEO person, and I started learning about it then. So you'll actually be better explaining 15 years ago. I can talk about the last 10 years and 12 years.
I miss the days of keyword stuffing.
Yeah,
those were the glory days of SEO.
Simpler times, eh? Simpler times.
You could get away with anything. You could be a car manufacturer or a car salesman or whatever, and you could be selling Ford but rank for Ferrari just because you spam keywords in the right places. Nothing would be done about it. It was brilliant.
Yeah. And I think the practices of 10, 15 years ago is what led to it led to the algorithm updates now. You used to have like what we call that now black hat tactic SEO
so you
now.
can definitely blame people like me.
Yeah. So, because of David, they brought out, EAT, expertise, authority, trustworthiness. There's so many updates that can be classed to all the tactics that were done by then. And the gamification, and Google basically adapted and it evolved into a place where you can't really gamify it now. Google doesn't even, remember when Google used to release a full script of the update, algorithm, this is everything. They don't do that anymore because they don't want people to read it and get into it. You've got to pretty much work it out yourself now. The way you understand what's going on with algorithm updates is in private SEO forums, chats with other colleagues. I was like, oh mate, have you been impacted by this update? What's going on? And I'll have a chat with someone. Like, we investigated this and this. Or you'll be in like Reddit forums, or you'll be in, or WhatsApp group chats, or you'll be in like private, like lobbies where you're doing it. Or you rely on online places like Search Engine Land, Search Engine Journal, etc. Places like that will say, oh, we're seeing this issue. And I like them. They're very reactive in terms of what's going on.
I feel like you almost get punished for doing well now. If there's a group of bigger firms that all of a sudden see like 100% increase or 200% increase in traffic, Google will now start looking at why they've grown so much, or even smaller places that have grown monumentally, and they'll think, right, that's not right, they shouldn't be growing as fast as everyone else, and then they'll release an update and punish them. I feel like that happens now.
Yeah, I feel. Have you noticed a trend? Like back then, you'd see a really good increase in flow of increase in traffic numbers. It'd be steady. You'd see sharp spikes, etc. You'd be able to measure when you made a change to a website, and then a couple of months later, you'd see the spike and increase, and you'd be able to determine it down to the optimization of a certain element of the website. You'd see that in Google Analytics. You'd see that in Search Console. But the move from GA3 or Universal Analytics to GA4 was a nightmare. That's one of the biggest evolutions in the last few years. A lot of people still aren't up to grips with GA4, in my opinion, in terms of what's going on, in terms of tracking the data. And I think the biggest problem right now is AI overview, because it's impacting click-through rates. It's impacting, so impressions are going up, clicks are going down. Traffic through GA4, through direct is in theory going up, but organic traffic's going down. Every time I'm looking at an account through SEMrush now, just having a top view thingy, I'm seeing a downward projection of traffic from like the end of last year. I looked at like 3 different businesses so far this morning, and all since like end of last year, early this year, have seen a downward trend in traffic, and I'm like, what the hell's going on?
Could that be seasonal?
No, different industries. Some industries are all year round. I wouldn't put it down to just seasonal.
I just wonder if that's release like Gemini into Google search. Is that going to be the reason?
But this is the thing where I'm seeing with AI overview. So I talked about it, and an example I gave is, so this is back then, you'd get loads of backlinks to your website, you'd be able to buy loads, it cost literally nothing.
Yeah.
You'd be able to, stuff like pages with keywords and elements. You'd be able to create content very quickly, not have to worry about tone of voice or too much structure as well, compared to where we are now with, let's say, Call with Vitals, etc. So before these big updates came out in the last few years, it was a lot more easier, more fun to play around with it, because you tried something, you see some good results, and then you'd go back and do something different, and you replicate it. Now I'd say it's just so much more difficult, and everybody wants it because people don't want to spend as much. And I think the reason they're doing and making it more difficult is more people spend money in Google Ads and bid for the keyword.
I think it's becoming more difficult because of the introduction of AI and Gemini becoming far, far, far more advanced. And the same with Bing, with their Copilot based on, I think ChatGPT is based on Copilot.
Yeah.
They're able to read tone of voice now and make their own judgments on websites. So is that why it's becoming more difficult for everybody? Especially when you get people with older websites who haven't possibly kept up with the times.
Yeah.
They're going to see massive downscale compared to everybody else who's keeping up with it. So could it be they want to push ads more, or is it because of the introduction of AI into the world and into search that it's now becoming far more complex and there's far much more tick boxes to tick?
Yeah, I think
It sounds a bit like it's becoming a bit of a dark art.
I don't think anyone has the answer right now. I think the only thing you can do is, as a fundamental, is stick to the basics.
Yeah.
Which sounds elements. So like one of the questions you have is like, what practices from 15 years ago do you still implement now to this day?
So quality of content, this is going to be around forever, no matter.
Yeah.
It's going to be the same 15 years ago and probably 100 years from now. Quality of content is always king.
Yeah.
You can do your keyword stuff in and get your titles right 15 years ago, get people to your website, but it doesn't mean someone's going to be of value to anyone. So you always have to provide value.
Yeah.
That's the main thing. And Google really pushes that even today. as we all know with EEAT.
But then where does AI come into something like that? So we're talking about the evolution of SEO, and we've just talked about AI and how it can read tone of voice. But how can you get the quality of content if an AI bot is writing it?
Maybe it's based on things like metrics like bounce rates and exit pages. Perhaps if a user's going on one page and the AI deems that page is pretty good, it's got the right content, it's got plenty of pictures, the alt tags are there, I can read it thoroughly, it's great. And then a person lands on it and they're leaving after 20 seconds, they are still judging that bounce rate. This is actually not a great website after all. But then again, my brain goes to another page. What if that person went on your website, found what they needed in 20 seconds and left? How does it then judge it? Because then your website's been successful, right? If someone's found the answer quicker than anywhere else, but then you've got a bounce rate metric, it gets very, very complicated very, very quickly.
Until we can read people's brains, we're going to struggle a bit with that, aren't we?
The AI overview is causing problems with this. So I gave an example at a talk, which was at the first showcase I went to, I actually forgot my clicker. So I then went onto my laptop, was like, I bet there's an app I can use on my phone. So I typed in PowerPoint clicker app iPhone into Google, which is what you would write. Then the AI overview came up and came up with some app names. So I then got my iPhone out and I put in some app names, and I ended up on a PowerPoint one in the end. It was called PowerPoint app. I'll actually probably still have it on my phone. It's PowerPoint Control, PPT Control. So I downloaded the app. It was free to download. Then it just put in some details. From there, it said, copy this URL into your web browser and download it on your desktop. So it was a bit.ly URL, so it was only a few characters, like 12 characters. So I put that in, went to that, downloaded the desktop app, got the desktop app on this, connected the two, PowerPoint started working, and the app came up, and I just pressed left on my phone. I was like, oh, it's working, I got a clicker now, great. Put my phone in airplane mode, so I won't get any messages disturbances through my message, and I was like, works perfectly fine. What's the one thing I didn't do? There's one thing I didn't do from an SEO perspective that would help elements. Well, there's one thing I didn't do in that whole process.
Go on.
I didn't click on a link to a website. So the AI overview gave me the information instantly, and there's a small hyperlink, like a click link button that allows you to click through. Now, without the AI overview, what would happen is organic results would come up, or ads, and I'd normally go past the ads because I won't be interested in that, and I'd click on the first organic result, and on that blog I'd then see and read the PowerPoint apps, which is where that content's come from in the AI overview. So from a GA perspective, they would be able to say this person went onto this organically. We know that they went to this blog article about the top 5 different PowerPoint clicker tools to use on iPhone or whatever it was, and you'd be able to track the analytics from that in terms of what they did and click on. Then if that was the case, I might have clicked on a link to an app to download it, and you'd be able to track the whole process. You can't track any of what I did. I still got my problem or product I was looking for resolved organically on Google, but Apps Flyer for that app company is going to say that I went into App Store and organically downloaded it and searched for it in App Store, and it's going to attribute it to organic download. The direct traffic website and that URL is going to say these people came from the app and then went to that URL and downloaded it. But GA4 isn't going to, that attribution goes to SEO, organic search, because it was the AI overview, the organic element that got it. But in GA4, you can't track that. There's no way of tracking that.
How would they monetize that then?
This is the problem. So, and when I explained this in Elements, I was like, what did I do? No one said, I didn't click on anything. There's no attribution towards that. That company can't attribute where that desktop app install and that mobile app install has officially originally come from. It's come from organic search. So organic search is going to lose conversions now, and it's going to lose attribution. So, because unless Search Console starts showing your AI overviews as an element within Search Console, then you're not going to know. And that's why impressions are going up, when you get AI overview, but click-through rates coming down. And I was like, this is a problem. AI overview in Gemini, as good as it is, they're giving the snippet of information in that blog article. So you still have to, the irony there is you still have to do all stuff like, right, good, like I said, write good quality content, you know, a great article, something like that to get your app downloaded is to feature in that. And that could have been like a paid for article, doesn't matter. But that article ranked really, really well, where the AI overview element got achieved, that SERP feature got featured from that. But that article's done so well to get an AI overview, but it's not going to get traffic and volume. So they're not going to continuously update that page because the data is going to tell them it's not converting. And generally, SEO these days, everyone focuses on ROAS, return on ad spend, which is what you should do. You have to look at return on ad spend, well, return on investment on that, as well as looking at the most core metrics like rankings, impressions, but also looking at user flow journey in GA4. That's why we use stuff like Clarity. But you want to know what's working. But there's no attribution model with AI overview.
There isn't.
Does that mean we're heading towards everything just being paid then? Is everything just going to go into paid?
No, because to feature an AI overview, you're still going to do all those best practices SEO techniques. Yeah. You're still going to have great quality content, you know, build quality links to build authority to that page. Page is ranked, not domains. I've always said this. So without that good quality content being written and published, that article wouldn't have been ranked on page 1 of Google and wouldn't have then got the SERP feature to have the AI overview.
The problem is, do Google care? Because they'll think, well, someone was looking for something and they found it.
Google cares about the end
so
user.
So they've done their job, haven't they? Or in their mind, they've done their job. Because the person you still found you did your presentation, everyone liked it, gave you a round of applause, went home. No one's, from Google's point of view, no one's lost out in that scenario.
Yeah, so Google cares about the user, to the people interacting with the platform. It's user focused.
Yeah.
So it's all a race at the moment. So you've got Copilot, Gemini, ChatGPT, DeepSeek, and more, all racing towards the same thing, this beautiful AI that can solve everyone's problems. Who's to say that will be the next generation will be using Google? ChatGPT is becoming so popular.
I said this to you the other day, didn't I?
ChatGPT is becoming so popular, and other tools like it becoming so popular. Online shopping might be done within ChatGPT. You might search for, I want a really cool t-shirt or a new mobile phone, give me the best specs for something that can do this. And it'll give you a list with links to online shops. But then ChatGPT or these other tools could start having paid responses in there as well. That could be the next big thing. It doesn't have to stay to Google.
I said in 5 years, Google's biggest, I see was because Microsoft own OpenAI that owns ChatGPT, and Copilot is a 365 product anyway. And I was like, Bing, which is in the UK around about 6% of the market space. I was like, as long as if Microsoft develop a really good web browser and get rid of Edge and create like a ChatGPT focused web browser or a Bing focus or something like that focused web browser and call it like, like Bing, like you got Google Chrome, call it like Bing something instead, or Chat something instead, whatever they call it, they could integrate Bing and ChatGPT and monetize that together. That's where I see them going with this. I 100% see Microsoft, that owns all of this, saying, we've got a search engine here, we can see how many people are searching and taking away search share from Google here in ChatGPT, which is the go-to, AI product right now. We've got Copilot and we can do all these things. They're going to bring it all together.
Yeah.
Which means, and I talked about this, the biggest threat to Google is ChatGPT, because what do we go to Google for? We go into input, or we'll have conversations with it. So the voice element and optimizing SEO for voice as well now is just so important. So there's so many metrics compared to 15 years ago, and so much more challenges now. With technology has changed SEO. Is the evolution of SEO. That's what we're trying to say. What I'm trying to say is technology dictates where SEO goes, clearly, but there's so much more technology and different elements out there. There's more to consider now, and there's so much more red tape and more challenges with algorithm updates to what actually happens.
Yeah. And of course, in 15 years, there'll be something that there'll be something we don't even know about now, won't there? Like, it will all change again at some point in the next 15
It'll be like
years.
smart glasses.
It'll
You'll
be
have your conversation with
Yeah,
smart
we just don't
glasses.
know,
Yeah,
do we?
it'll all be integrated into that. The technology for all this exists. Did you ever see that film, Ready Player One?
Yeah.
We can do that now. We have the technology to do that now. Just the world's not ready for it, and we don't have the general infrastructure, energy, more or less so, to do that right now.
But proper hoverboards don't exist yet, do they? No. Back to the Future, I'm very grumpy about that. Just before we move on, can I just say, if Microsoft are listening to this, please call it Bong. So we've got Bing Bong. That's what I want to see, Bing Bong. I want predictions from you, really. I think this is what I want to kind of prod away at. Like we've been touching on this for probably the last 10-15 minutes, haven't we, in terms of the way this is going with search and with SEO. But I want more predictions. I want more look into the future. Where are we going to be 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years?
I can't go that far.
Where are we going to be? Maybe hoverboards will exist by then.
Well, my glasses can look at things and tell me what they are and translate.
Oh, have you got smart glasses?
Yeah.
Really?
No way.
When smart glasses first came out, they were terrible, weren't they? Because you could tell someone had got like little cameras and stuff.
So how do I use
I
it?
would not have known that you got smart glasses.
Well,
I now fear you probably can't see anything.
yeah, no,
Yeah.
I can't.
Yeah, I mean,
So I do turn off the AI to save battery. So let me just turn it back on.
yeah. A live
It's
demo.
also slightly creepy.
Do I look good in glasses?
No.
No. Thank you. Jesus. I suggest if you're listening to this podcast, you actually watch it as well.
Right, so
on
if you say,
YouTube.
"Hey Meta,"
Hey Meta,
I'll ask it a question.
what's the weather like outside right now?
It's sunny and 24 degrees Celsius in Leeds.
How cool is that?
Where did that come from?
From the glasses.
Did you hear
The
that?
glasses talk to you.
Yeah.
Did you guys actually hear that?
Yeah, I heard
thought
that. Yeah,
I
we heard that on the podcast
Yeah,
as well.
and, I mainly use them now just to listen to music. That's
But can people hear what's coming out on the other side?
Yeah, I could hear it.
Yeah.
just put the first thing that comes on. New hits.
Nah, put on your
Right.
playlist. Come on.
Put on my playlist.
Put in your first song from your liked songs.
Oh, okay.
Can you hook it up to your LinkedIn? What I'm basically asking, because
what a
I've
tune.
said for years the thing that would get me back onto LinkedIn Premium would be if there was a way that you could subtly point your phone at someone and pretend you type in and it tells you who they are, because I'm face blind. So when I'm doing networking and stuff like that, if I could wear glasses that would tell me who people are when I meet them, because it finds them on my LinkedIn, that would be amazing. I would pay a fortune for that.
I did a blog years ago which was called "Should Have Gone to Google Glass" instead of "Should Have Gone to Specsavers," because Google Glass came out and they like I said, this technology has not been around for years. It's been around a long time ago, and that was when I was at Carousel. It's like nearly 10 years ago. We were talking about Google Glass and them launching this and it having maps and telling you directions. You could take videos, pictures. But the biggest problem with that is everyone said it's an invasion of privacy. You're recording me and stuff like that. So got rid of it, but it's making a resurgence 10 years later.
Well, because Google Glass looked terrible, didn't
But
it?
if
It didn't
you
look
want-
great. It looked weird.
So-
Whereas they looked brilliant. They
So-
just looked like glasses.
You're saying what is the future? That is the future.
Yeah.
What David's wearing,
Yeah,
which
except
is
that- yeah.
he could be out in a meeting and he could say, and it'll probably be linked to something like ChatGPT or Copilot, and he'll say like hey Cortana, whatever they call it, and Cortana's the perfect name because of the Halo games.
Yeah.
and
Which they dropped.
no, why? I'm just like it's like the coolest AI.
Killed
name.
her off in the series, in the game.
Yeah.
They've killed her off in real life.
Okay,
Back in the room.
anyway.
Back in the room.
And he'd be like, hey, record this meeting, transcribe this meeting I'm going to have. So to notes and say, all right, so I'm going to do X, Y, Z. I need you to do X, Y, Z. So by the time you get back to your laptop, it's got, here's your notes, here's your deadlines, because it's put it in it. Here's when you're next going to meet, and here's the location of everything that's going on. I've set up an Excel document or PowerPoint document with you to do all this kind of stuff. So you'll literally be in a meeting and I'll start doing all the legwork of all this time stuff. So you'll be more free to do it. So when people say they want work-life balance, we talk about Gen Z and last stuff, is you need to adapt to AI to move from more manual tasks to automated tasks so you can be free to do stuff. So you can go and have a yoga session, but on the way there say do this, and this. So when you get back to your laptop, you can finish it all off and get it sent off. It's literally going to make life easy. And that's what SEO will look like. People will be on the go, less using their phones, more using these kind of devices, and in real time asking questions and like, show me the local, like the best local rated review barista. Now, if you're a cafe, that's important because you want to then focus on your Google reviews. You want to focus on your local SEO. So when you feature in that search feature, which will be, you know, glass or voice or whatever it is, that's where you want to focus on. So I say the only thing you can do is focus on the basics.
Exactly. If you're a business, even just a startup cafe, Greasy Spoon, and you're not on Google Maps or Bing Maps or whatever maps, then all this new technology is not going to find you. You will suffer as a business.
Yeah, because then reviews will get more enhanced where, you know, there'll be images and be like, oh, show me a local cafe, so show me their reviews. And it'll start coming up as pictures on your glass. And you'll have people and influencers taking pictures and something, and then they could show, here's a TikTok video of that. So that's where social media comes into it, and then the social aspect of SEO comes into it, and your YouTube stuff and reviews.
Do you remember them Bluetooth headsets?
My brain's running all over the place at the moment thinking about
they'll have a resurgence, them Bluetooth headsets. They will come back.
The translation mics that are coming through right now, which are really translation AirPods that are coming through, they'll be quite good. So your AirPods from Apple will have the same Apple Intelligence elements connected to it. So you'll just tap your AirPod and say, this is what I want to do, and you know they'll have something similar. I guarantee you, Apple will release some kind of glass like that. Yeah, for people to wear. But
they did do Apple Glass, didn't they?
It was Google Glass. Apple have done their VR thing.
Yeah.
But it's just so big and clunky. It's like...
You wouldn't wear it out, would you? It's effectively like having
I wouldn't wear that
it works like a computer, doesn't it? Yeah. It's very clever, but yeah, it's a totally different...
That is Ready Player One level. Yeah. Evolution of elements of what you would do. But you've got to really think that the future is unknowable because it depends on technology.
Do either want to guess at something then?
Have you ever seen the series Altered Carbon?
Yes, I've heard about it.
It's a great series. It gives an insight into what... There's one particular scene in it can give an insight into what marketing could be. There's a guy who wakes up after being frozen for a long period of time, and he steps outside, and there's AR ads in front of him just flashing up. He's no glasses on. Just it's as they're pressing and causing them all down. And someone says, "Oh, you haven't installed the ad filter," and he goes and gets an operation on his eyes just to get rid of the ads. It might have been a tablet. I can't remember.
There's a new one of the new episodes in Black Mirror. Is more or less the same where she I don't know what it is. She's got a condition. She's in a coma, and there's some new kind of technology that will repair her brain. But they've got to pay a certain amount to kind of keep it switched on. And then after a bit, she just starts saying adverts. And they're like, oh, yeah, you've got to upgrade to the next plan to get rid of the ads. And you watch that at the time and just think, God, it's funny, but how ridiculous is that? And then you think, is it? Like, you know, is this stuff ridiculous? 20 years from now, none of us got any idea, have we? We just don't.
Oh, we could be doing this podcast together, but with people virtually in this room with us.
Yeah.
Sat at this table in VR.
That's really believable, though, isn't it? That you can totally imagine that. Yeah.
But in a realistic setting, at the moment we've got is it MetaQuest?
Yeah.
And you can have VR meetings in it, but it's all cartoony. Yeah. But you could map this. VR could map this room out with relative ease. It's just at the moment it's too costly to implement.
But it'll happen, won't it? It's just a matter of time.
Cheaper and cheaper and cheaper.
And then stuff like marketing comes into play with that, because anything like that, you know, there's a way of ads, suggested, you know, have you tried this and all that kind of stuff that comes into play with that.
Exactly.
It's really fascinating.
Manny could be under his desk, pull something out. Have you tried this? Obviously, he's got.
He does that sometimes. We've tried to get him to stop, but when he does the under the desk thing,
what about him?
You did that on the last podcast, actually. Have you tried this brand of water? Luckily, we've not had one of those today.
It's
Wow.
getting rebranded, by the way, ironically, so we'll have to clip that one out.
What do you want to see change in SEO? What do you want, like, desperately to change?
Transparency, so I can game the system again and bring down
Good
another
answer.
downfall. It's just every time there's an update, there's so much uncertainty and fear if the website that you've spent years on or months on working on is that just now going to collapse overnight. I think Google has a responsibility to inform people what these changes are going to be before they happen, before they crush everybody. I think that's definitely something that needs to change.
It was you who shared the HubSpot graphic, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Of the traffic drop from like 13 million a couple of years ago down to like that 1-2 million now. Just goes to show in the last few years how the algorithm updates have impacted such a big brand like that. There's no recovering that. It's just, there's nothing they can do. But HubSpot had all the answers for a lot of things in terms of digital marketing. They were so good with their content. And a lot of their content still features, but they got penalised for, I feel like they just got penalised for being so good.
Well, I feel like HubSpot's downfall is that they were so big and there's so many red flags and tape probably put up to change, so they didn't change quick enough. That's my educated guess.
Yeah.
When you get a company of that size, you've got to go through so many hoops and processes. Someone's obviously there, smart enough to find out that this was going to happen. We've got to go and change this way. Oh no, we've been doing it this way. We've got to wait, do that.
Yeah.
This is higher priority. They missed the boat. That's on them. Obviously, Google's punished, not directly punished them, but they've been punished because they haven't been keeping up with the times. They had so much resource behind them to go AI first and beat everybody to that game, and they didn't do. As a leader in marketing, they should have done that.
Yeah. And it just goes to show you can be so good and you can still fall off a cliff. As high as you can go, the higher you go, the higher the fall. And that's a great example of elements. And I literally took that and started sharing it on social media. I was like, that is an unreal statistic to kind of see in terms of where it is. So even someone as big and someone as influential as HubSpot in terms of their SEO content and their SEO ranking could have such a big fall from grace in terms of where they are. And to recover that, do you could they recover that?
I think they can. It'll take a very long time, but
what's a long time?
I think 6 to 8 months they could recover it if they hit all the right boxes first time.
Yeah.
The reason I found, and I don't know if this is certain, but I think it's because with things like ChatGPT, Copilot, Gemini, and the way search results are now appearing, people are finding the answers HubSpot used to answer in other places. So all they need to do is now flip that around and get their answers found on these places as sources.
We had this issue, not this issue, but we had this achievement, which was, I think it was one of my clients, Milliken. They got pulled up they was getting a lot of traffic to a few content pieces that we helped optimize. And they're getting featured in ChatGPT. ChatGPT's pulling through that content. It was about neurodiversity, I believe. It was a neurodiversity blog. And again, the views and the landing page views, like the calls from outside was like huge. And we're like investigating it, and they told us, "Oh, actually, it's ChatGPT." Then we tested it, and we're like, "Oh yeah, it is ChatGPT," in terms of where it's coming from. So you've got to, you're right, you've got to optimize for the future tech. To do that, you've got to stay on top of the basics. Obviously, you can't gamify it anymore. There's no transparency.
Well, you can still gamify it. Of course you can.
In what sense?
So I used, I made a giant Excel spreadsheet. I exported my WordPress website. I had, at the time, I think 200 odd pages. I gave that to ChatGPT as an Excel spreadsheet and said, read over my meta descriptions, read over my keywords, read over the content, do this, do this. You can only do it one column at a time. You should only do it one column at a time because it becomes too big for ChatGPT to look at. And I told it to make tweets for me. I looked at it, gave it a human touch, put it back in. But what I really gamified was I created 1,200 new pages for our website in a matter of a few days. So I first said, give me a spreadsheet of every town, city, village in the UK. And it gave me a list, so I put that in a spreadsheet. I said, write me a good page title for each. Right, and then got to the next column, write me this, write me that, write me this, write me that. And then I made a WordPress template and then just put it all in. And overnight I had 1,200 doorway pages, fuel firm in Birmingham, fuel firm in Leeds, fuel firm in Burnley, fuel this, everywhere you could think of. We are now there, and that increased our web traffic by over 400%.
Yeah.
So you can definitely game the system still.
That's smart. That's extremely smart, actually. I think for me, what I'd like to see change in the future is, just transparency from Google and a bit more support.
Yep.
I just think they've just outsourced all their support centres. They don't give any kind of inkling of what's going on. They only really care about a few key partners now. They don't really care about any of the, more established or long-serving agencies. They're anti-agency, I think, Google. They're kind of like trying to, I think they're just trying to like see like, does the world need agencies? Can it just have Google? And the thing is with Google is they will become a dictator in this space and you'll be bound with them. And I think it's right for agencies still to exist to highlight what's good and bad about Google to clients, because Google will sell you everything to get an extra nickel into their spend into Google and YouTube and platforms like that, and that's what they do. So more transparency and more dialogue with agencies, and your big companies that that rank well in terms of what's going on, because companies, even small ones, have spent a lot of time, resources, or paid people in wages, or paid agencies in fees to achieve a certain rankings and elements for you just to change their algorithm and for them to lose all that value and time, resources and revenue, which could happen overnight. And I think that is where the transparency element comes into it for me.
Yeah, just a warning, because you could invest, like you said, invest all that time for it to just happen.
Yeah.
No warning. If you had a full warning, you think, right, I've spent 6 months, 7 months doing this, it's doing great, but now it's going to end. I can fix it by doing this.
Yeah, you can be agile with your strategy.
Yeah.
You can adapt and say, right, we know this is happening, so you can go to a client, we're going to adapt it this way, but we can't. We're out of time.
It's almost like you're getting blamed for that mistake then.
Yeah. You get blamed for that mistake. It's like, I didn't do anything, it was Google. And they're like, you're just blaming Google. It's like,
you should know Google.
And it's like, you should know Google. It's like, nobody knows Google. It's like, to be honest with you. That brings us to an end of this episode. I hope you found it really, really interesting. I've really enjoyed the discussion. I know we had some specific questions in there, and we kept to most of them on topic. And thank you for sharing your Ray-Bans with me. I really enjoyed that. That's definitely another topic we'll have to talk about in the future.
Can I make a little prediction here? Next time we sit down to do a podcast episode, Manny walks in and has got a pair of those glasses on.
Maybe. We'll see.
That's my
They do come in ladies.
Oh, thanks, mate. It's the bone cheeks, isn't it? I can get it all out. So, honestly, the level of banter we have is unreal from just meeting at a showcase event. It's hilarious. So,
picked on me and that.
I did pick on you, in one of the talks. I was like, I'm going to pick on you. You seem safe. Thanks for having us, David. His details will be there. I do recommend you follow David on LinkedIn, because some of the posts he shares about SEO and is very educational. And he's actually one of the people that I reach out to personally in terms of like questions and stuff. And we have a really good dialogue between each other in terms of sharing ideas and stuff, which is really good. So do follow David. We'll put his LinkedIn into the podcast and stuff. Don't forget to like, follow, subscribe, and we'll see you on the next episode of Bobble Pod very, very, very soon.